Vayar Elohim et kol asher asa, v'hine tov me'od. Vayar Elohim et kol asher asa, v'hine tov me'od. This is the refrain that permeates the description of creation. God looked out and saw that it was good. It's a refrain I want us to remember because I think that it has an important lesson to teach us. Now, perhaps you'll carry with you by the end this tune, but for sure, I hope you carry with you this perspective. Vayar Elohim ki tov, notice the good. The Torah famously opens with a description of creation. And strikingly, we're actually given a small glimpse into the time before the world took shape. We read that the earth was unformed and void. There was a darkness hovering above the face of the deep. Va'aretz hayta tohu vavohu v'choshech merachefet al panei hamayim. There was chaos. There was some kind of darkness. And God kind of comes along and says, I'm going to straighten things out. I'm going to put things in order and fix them. And so the Torah continues. God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw that the light was good. Vayar Elohim et haor ki tov. And then God separated the light from the darkness. The Torah will go on day after day after day in just this same fashion. God looks out over creation and says, yeah, pretty good. Vayar ki tov. God saw, and it was good. But I want to ask, what exactly was tov? What exactly was good? There are many, many possible answers. I'd like to offer 4 of them, each given in part or in full by some of our traditional rabbinic commentaries. Vayar Elohim et kol asher asa, v'hine tov me'od. Vayar Elohim et kol asher asa, v'hine tov me'od. The Peshat, the simple, kind of straightforward and obvious answer of what was good, is the very specific thing that God created. In the case of the first day, obviously, or God created light. And that's exactly what the verse seemed to suggest. God saw that the light was good. On the other days, though, the description is a little bit less explicit. On day 3, for example, God doesn't say the apples are good, and the apricots are good, and the avocados are good. Rather, God looks out over all that was created that day and proclaims it all to be good. But the point is that what God created was tov, was good. In this reading, I picture God as an artist, stepping back from the canvas and saying, yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm pleased with how it turned out. The other day, I was coming to morning minyan, and I looked up at the sky at the sunrise. It was this incredible color pink, for those who love the color pink. And I said, Vayar ki tov. God, good job. It is stunning. Now, it's important to note that for all the good that God creates, there still is that original choshech, this original darkness. God might have given form to the tohu vavohu, the unformed part of creation, but the darkness remains. And so I want to suggest that the message is, notice the good. Open your eyes with Heschel's words of radical amazement. Open your heart to the wonder of it all. Rejoice in the good. Don't just see the darkness. Don't let the darkness hide or conceal all that is good in the world. Vayar Elohim et kol asher asa, v'hine tov me'od. Vayar Elohim et kol asher asa, v'hine tov me'od. Second interpretation. Each and every day we read, Vayar ki tov. God noticed the good after each and every day of creation. Well, not exactly every day. God doesn't say that Monday was good. I agree, Mondays generally are not good. Mondays are hard. Why did God say that things were good on day 3 when God was only halfway through creation? Why not just wait until the very end and say, Tov me'od, it's all really good? Because God wanted to teach us to appreciate incremental progress, to notice what is good and right each and every day. Now, that message is actually quite explicit on day one, because on all the other days, the phrase, "and God saw that it was good," appears at the very end of the creation of that particular day. But God proclaims the light good in the middle of day one. Even before God finished fashioning that first day, God proclaimed it good. The message for us is you don't have to wait until completion to compliment. We don't have to wait for perfection to praise. We can appreciate step-by-step progress along the way. Now, it's not that we should hand out praise indiscriminately, just ask Monday, who's still waiting for that ki tov. But when we are headed in the right direction, we can acknowledge the good even before we reach our goal. Doing so only encourages further progress, because who doesn't want to get a ki tov along the way? Vayar Elokim et kol asher asa, v'hinei tov me'od. Vayar Elokim et kol asher asa, v'hinei tov me'od. Third interpretation. Again, pay very, very close attention to the words in our verse. There was chaos and there was darkness over the surface of the earth, and God said, "Let there be light." And God saw the light, and it was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. Did you notice the order? When God created the light, it must still have been mixed in with the darkness, because only afterwards does God separate the light from the darkness. When God notices the or, and when God calls the or, the light, good, it was still combined with the choshech, with the darkness. That is to say, God saw the light within the darkness and proclaimed it good. We too are to search for the good, to look for the good in a difficult person or in a difficult situation. Search hard enough, and you may just see a spark of light that you too can separate out. Vayar Elokim et kol asher asa, v'hinei tov me'od. Vayar Elokim et kol asher asa, v'hinei tov me'od. Fourth interpretation. Now, perhaps it's not the actual creation that was good or the order of creation, but rather the act of creating. It wasn't necessarily the light that was good, but the fact that God separated the light from the darkness. It was the act of structuring creation, of filling the void. As I said, the darkness of that tohu vavohu, it doesn't go away. It's still there. What was good was that God began to make order out of chaos day by day by day. The Hasidic Rabbi, the Nitivot Shalom, says it this way: Miderach hatov lahativ. It's the way of good to do good. That is to say, God actually created tov. God created good, not just roses and raspberries and rhinos and rocks. God created good, but not just good for good's sake. God endowed the world with tov in order to spark goodness. The point is not a description, but an action that it inspires. God gave us goodness because God wanted us to use that good for good. Hatov v'ha metiv. How can we learn to do good in a world that sometimes, actually often, seems to descend further and further into tohu vavohu, into chaos? Well, you know two basic Jewish approaches. First, we can embrace this gift that we call Shabbat. It's no coincidence that the very first thing that we do to welcome Shabbat is to light candles. We fill our homes with light to help us see through the darkness. We close down and we quiet down the noise that constantly bombards us, turning off the news and social media, allowing us to, again, regain perspective on our lives and on our world. And having renewed and steeled ourselves for the week ahead, what is the first thing that we do when we leave Shabbat? Mavdil ben or lechoshech. We begin to separate light and darkness. We immediately set about pushing back on the darkness and like God, making order out of the mess that is our world. Second, as you know, prayer trains us to see the good. The brachot of the Siddur prompt us to see the good with which God continually blesses us. The rabbis actually taught, as you know, that we are to make 100 blessings every day. And if you've ever tried it, not just reciting the brachot in the Siddur, but actually adding your own or seeking out your own blessings, it's not so easy to come up with 100. It should be, but it's not. It requires really paying attention, noticing the blessings that surround us at all times. As Larry Kushner writes in his book, Eyes Remade for Wonder, blessings give reverent and routine voice to our conviction that life is good, one blessing after another, even and especially when life is cold and dark. Indeed, to offer blessings at such times may be our only deliverance. It's easy to look out on our world and only to see chaos, and we should see it. From Afghanistan to Haiti, from climate change to pandemic, there is choshech al panei tehom, much darkness over the face of our earth. We can't help see that darkness. We can't help feel at times the chaos. But it's important to notice the good and not just the tohu vavohu all around. For if all we see is chaos, it's easy to slip into our own place of darkness, saying hevel, havel, hakol, hevel. Vanity, vanity, all is vanity, all is for naught. But it isn't. And that's why the Torah begins with this refrain challenging us, Vayar ki tov, to notice the tov and not just the turmoil. Don't let the darkness hide the good that is out there, because there is still good out there. Celebrate incremental progress, however slow and incomplete. Find light amidst the darkness. Notice the good within the difficult. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, continue creating. Keep working to bring chaos, to bring order to chaos, to shine a light into the darkness. Hatov v'hametiv. Notice the good with which God blesses you, the good with which God has blessed our world. Thus, may it inspire you to share all that is good in your life, to expand that good to the other days of the week, to the other corners of the world. Then, God willing, one day will all of us be able to look out and say, Vayar Elohim et kol asher asa, v'hinei tov me'od. Vayar Elohim et kol asher asa, v'hinei tov me'od. Shabbat shalom.